Hello, welcome to Tobisonics. Please like, subscribe, follow, you know the drill. It is Tuesday the 16th of February 2021. I hope you all had a good weekend and the weeks have started well for you. In this week's episode, we're going to be taking a look at a free modulation plugin, the incredibly difficult to pronounce SVEP from Klevgrand. Swirly and sweepy, not too creepy. That is how Klevgrand described the SVEP plugin. The phaser flanger chorus combination plugin is a stereo modulation filter effect suitable for any sound. All parameters are easily editable in one screen, and the clean and responsive user interface encourages creativity. The SVEP is freely available for download from Klevgrand's website. Regular viewers of this channel will know I don't like to use practice loops or multi-tracks to demo plugins. I like to keep things more tangible than that. I like to use my own productions that are right now out in the marketplace. And for this week's demo, we're going to be using my new single, Eye of the Storm. Let's kick things off with the snare. Right now we've got the kick drum and the hi-hat running to give us a little bit of context. I've bussed the two snares together and the SVEP is in bypass. Let's take the SVEP out of bypass, and there's a couple of things we just need to note. You can see here that we've got the left and right channels locked together. We have the stereo whip set pretty far down in the direction of mono to just kind of help center that snare, and we've got things blended in very low on the wet dry. Straight off the bat, you can hear it's doing a really nice job of sitting that snare up just that little bit more. It's kind of just lifted it up into the mix, kind of brought it forward into the mix. I like the top we're getting on it. I think that's the feedback setting that's helping to do that. It's just lifting some high frequency into there. It's not the difference between night and day. It's just enough to give us a little bit of shift in the texture of the snare. Just enough to kind of attract our ear to it, make it that a little bit more interesting. Next up, we drop the bass line in, and the SVEP is in bypass. Let's see what it can do for it. Let's take the SVEP out of bypass, and let's note one or two things. Once again, we've locked the left and right channels together, and you can see here we've pushed the stereo set all the way to mono. We want that bass bang straight down the middle. You can also see that unlike the snare where we had quite a lot of feedback, we've got absolutely no feedback whatsoever. We're looking to keep this bass really clean. We do have more modulation going on though. And the wet dry mix, it's probably a little bit wetter than the snare. It's pretty much in the same place. Let's have a listen to what all that sounds like. I'm really liking the kind of liquid shift that this is giving it to it. It's kind of like, it's giving it a kind of T1000 kind of shifting metallic liquid metal kind of feel to it. The additional size and presence in the mix is very, very cool. I think we might be sacrificing a little bit of sharpness to it. It certainly felt that way when I was blending between dry and wet, that there was certainly there's sort of a trade-off between how much kind of shift and liquidity you wanted, and also that little bit of extra size and presence, versus how much you wanted to kind of soften it and take some of the edge and bite from it. Next, I've dropped in one of my favorite virtual instruments, the UVI Dark Light, and it's the Bit Heat, a nasty, brassy, awesome 80s iconic sound. So let's see what the SVEP can do for the Bit Heat. We're going to drop it out of bypass, and a couple of things to note. Once again, left and right channels locked together. Pretty consistent theme that it seems. We got a touch of feedback going on, not too much, but look, we've got a lot of modulation happening with this one. You can also see that I've got the mono and the stereo balance just around, what, about 40% probably. Just trying to get that bit heat to kind of have enough width about it, but still kind of tuck it into the mix. I want to be able to put things around it. I like the movement that this is introducing into the sustain of the bit heat. You're getting a little bit of kind of fizz and shift in the sustain, which is very, very nice. But you've still got that kind of sort of blunt, kind of atonal, kind of awesome, kind of sonic ugliness of the bit heat. It's still there. One of the things that was interesting to note about this is the bit heat really didn't like feedback. As soon as I boosted the feedback, it sounded no good at all. Finally, let's drop in the feature instrument of the chorus, the Vaporwave Synth. Okay, let's take the sweep out of bypass, and there's a couple of things to note. Once again, we've got the left-right channels locked together, and you can see here that we've got the stereo all the way wide for the first time. The dry wet actually is probably about where we've had it most of the time. We've got a fair whack of feedback going on, and there's quite a bit of modulation going on too. Let's have a listen and see what that's doing for us. Couple of things I'm really liking about this. It's definitely giving it a little bit more size, giving it a bit more width. I think it's also giving it a little bit of a lift out from the mix as well. And it's doing it without messing with the tone or timbre or kind of fundamental kind of feel of the instrument. It's quite inobtrusive in the way it's doing it. I like that a lot. It's a very clean effect. All right then, let's take things back to the very beginning and we'll have a run through. We're going to start off with the SVEPs in bypass, and then we're going to bring them in one at a time in the order in which we changed them. That way you guys can hear the building contrast as we apply them. Struck me listening to this is how much the bass jumped out when you applied the chorusing effect. It really lifted it up. I also think it did a lot of favors for the Vaporwave synth. It gave it some width and some shift from the things that we talked about. It was noticeable for me though, the more we started to stack the effect on different channels, the more we kind of started to lose the effect on the individual channels. So by the end of the process, the snare didn't really feel any more up front than it did at the beginning. The bass had sat back a little bit more. The contrast on the bit heat wasn't really there. It suggests to me that this is the kind of effect that, yes, it can work extremely well, but you're probably only going to want to be using it on one, maybe two voices in a mix at the same time. The Klevgrand is for me very clean, very faithful to the fundamental fidelity of the voice that you're working. The interface is highly intuitive, it's very easy to use, it does exactly what it says in the website, it encourages you to be creative. I'd have liked a little bit more control over things like tempo timing, the sort of speed of what was happening. Go get it, it's great, it works extremely well, it's definitely going to add another tool to your production toolbox. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow, you know the drill. My new single, Eye of the Storm, is out right now on all streaming platforms. Go have a listen to it, have a listen to the production, let me know what you think. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below, or you can catch me on social media at Tobisonics, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Tumblr, Reddit, BK, you name it, I'm on it. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next Tuesday, good night and good noise. Stay safe and stay healthy.